Yeah, apologies for the long one.
That's okay. No, we needed to hear that.
I was gonna mention it, but okay, as long as we're talking.
Did everyone get a chance to read Allison's minutes?
I brought them, so sorry it's late.
That's okay. I printed it out. I was able to print it.
I reviewed.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I saw no issues. That was good.
I agree. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I did take a look.
I will put forward a motion to accept the minutes as is.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, so that brings us to you, Lee, Friends update.
Okay, let's see. Things are moving right along. We don't have a meeting until the 28th of October.
Okay.
So we have not met yet since the, early September. So things on the docket include a holiday floral arrangement on December 4th, gingerbread theme, something or other. And I believe there's, the typical Zentangle and I think a felting class being put together for later on in the year. So I will have more updates and substantial updates, but
Okay.
That's pretty much what
Okay. And you guys are assuming you're thinking of still doing the DIY kids.
as far as I know.
Thing?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Literally, my Facebook, I have a folder that I keep saving things that some look like they might be too complicated. Some look like not complicated, but just time consuming.
Yeah,
But I've been saving like a ton of stuff that then just we can kind of, so I'm gonna try and attend your meeting in October. Cause that's probably when you'll start to talk about it.
I'm with you. Is that a, it's at 7
Yeah,
on the 29th? Let me make sure.
I think it's a Tuesday, right, the
Okay, the
28th.
28th.
Anything else for the friends? That's pretty much it.
that's.
Yeah, Alicia was away, so you guys just, yeah.
Away for 3 weeks and we have a relatively new board, so, be exciting.
I think they met this morning down here to talk about the treasurer's responsibilities.
Oh, good.
With Silverio. Yeah.
Paperwork organized for the bank.
Oh, good, excellent.
Yeah.
All right, so then that brings us to you, Andrew, director's report.
Okay, so, let's see. Been an interesting month. But good. So we had a staff meeting end of last month. We talked about goals meetings, which we'll have post vacation, which is for me next week. I also asked everybody to review the website to sort of have extra eyes on it. Things that we maybe didn't catch the first time through. It's still, as I said, a work in progress. There are things we need to do. I want to talk about minutes a little bit later and posting of those things
Okay.
because they're not necessarily on the site. And we'll want to talk about that also as far as the rectory subcommittee goes.
Okay.
Where you're going to want to post. Let's see. We redistributed Chris's tasks. She has a number of them. But she's of course seasonal now, so in the times that she's not here, we needed to make sure those things get addressed. Talk about that, and our next meeting will be sooner than later because I want to meet a little more frequently because we have 2 new staff. So we'll be meeting on November 18th next. So I'm away next week and then Tara the week after. Just as a heads up. Sarah Burkhart is now a senior abatement worker, so she's already been doing volunteer for us, but we'll be tracking those hours and sending them to the Amy at the end of each month, so that's a good thing. Carolyn Therese, excuse me, are doing very well. I actually just had meetings with both of them yesterday, with the end of the summer and then state reports you have to do. It was hard to sort of keep my arms around like what they know at this point, what they don't. So I had put together a checklist of like virtually every responsibility known to the library system. And, we went through, those yesterday just to find out where things
With
are.
what you know.
Yeah, and so that things don't fall through the cracks. So, I had meetings with them yesterday on that. I think it's gonna be good because it'll help us set goals for them for the remainder of the year. There's still quite a bit that they need to learn, particularly cataloging, but we'll get there. Let's see. Oh, Harper's, there's been rumblings, Harper's is what we do our payroll in. But there's been rumblings with the town that they're not real happy with Harper's. I don't know whether or not.
Harper's is brand new, these guys, right?
Well, it's newer,
Okay.
but there have been some issues with it. So for example, Therese is supposed to be in the system already, and she's already been with us for 3-4 weeks. And she's still not in the system, so I have to keep emailing her hours weekly and bi-weekly to the treasurer's office. So I'm still doing that. Carol's in the system. It's not a bad system to work with, but apparently on the administrative side, there's some real issues with it. So anyway, we're navigating those, just as long as everybody gets paid every 2 weeks. That's what I'm
Right.
concerned.
Okay,
Facilities, so we've been having a key issue because when the keys were cut, they were cut by a company called Pasic out of Boston. And we had a certain amount of keys, but over time, because I've had to give them to facilities, for example, now there's a facilities department, the police department, other staff. I've run out of keys. And so I need to get new ones made for Carol and Therese. And that would have been fine. Dan Byers works with Pasic, or at least, is the conduit to go through with the keys. Problem is, the last 2 times he's asked them to make keys for the library, they wound up making keys for the Parks Department. So literally we've been delayed over a month on this. Hoping the 3rd time's the charm
oh goodness.
with this. Right now, what we're doing, Annie is on call for us, and
I assume this company has a master key for the
I
department,
have all of this stuff.
so it's not like,
And it's not like he didn't tell them that this was the library, these were the library keys. And twice now he's gotten keys back and it looks at the code and they're parks codes and not library codes. So I don't know. Our fallback at this point is that Annie is on call and occasionally works for us, but she's agreed to leave the key with me. So I've given it to Carol for now, so that Carol, when she comes in the morning, is able to use it. Therese is usually a little bit later, so not as big a deal. And as long as one of them has a key, if both of them are working, that's,
right,
but it's not optimal.
no,
And hopefully it'll get worked out. Dan said I contacted him this week. He said he was gonna reach out again, but I haven't had any response. No word
Okay.
on it. But I'd like to get it resolved. I also would like to get 2 extra keys. I told him, make us 2 extra keys because invariably, maybe the friends are gonna want to meet at some point.
borrow it or something, right,
Let's see. I was talking with James the other day, and we were talking about, some of the boards, the composite boards that are around the outside of this place are kind of warped. So we need to get them tacked down. It's just aging there. It's been almost 10 years, so. That's something we're gonna need to look into to get fixed. I know Monica said that her husband could come over and do it. Maybe he will, we'll see, otherwise, I might have to just ask facilities about getting that figured out. And we need to clear out the emergency stairwell, which now that I've looked down there more recently, is rather cluttered with things. And I think there's even a tree growing in there. So we have to yank that out. Anyway, it's not, you don't look at an emergency stairwell all that often.
Sure.
right.
And it's got a gate there. And I looked down there the other day and I was like, so we'll take care of that. So what do you know
The
about all of
boards
these?
though, I think,
Yeah.
great if Monica's husband wants to volunteer, come over and do it, however, I feel like that really.
Facilities.
Facilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have to put in a work order.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not,
It's not an urgent
No.
work order by any means,
Nope.
but I think it should be their responsibility to be maintaining the building.
Yeah.
That's why they put them in place,
Right.
correct?
Yeah.
Especially the outside of the building.
Yeah. I've only noticed 2 spots where there's an issue, but.
I mean, if it has to come out of somebody's budget, then that's a totally different story, but
Right.
still, I think it's something the facilities should be able to handle.
I would, yeah,
Right.
that's my feeling too. Newest, landscapers will be back, at the beginning and end of November for fall cleanup. That's been scheduled. So a couple of things that I might be asking the friends about in terms of the relocation fund. I don't know what's left in the relocation fund. I do know though that upstairs, like we have the cushion chairs upstairs in the periodicals area and some of them. The rolling feet keep falling out of them. And they're just, they're wearing and it's probably time soon to transition over to something new. I think we got them through Demco last
I
time.
think we did.
They're not cheap. They're like $650 a piece.
Mhm.
So we may need to look into that. I'd also probably in the spring like to look into new cushions for the pergola furniture. We had those 2, what they call them, storage boxes out there.
Yeah.
And literally mice chewed through those boxes and actually got into the boxes at one point and then started to chew through the stuffing, et cetera, the chairs. So we need to look at.
It'd be nice if we could store them inside.
Yeah, the thing is, we did try to store them in the garage, but even in the garage.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, if we could store them.
If we had a
here,
place to store them.
that would be wonderful.
We don't currently,
No.
but it would be nice if sometime
No.
down the road we did.
Well, and to be fair, if we do go ahead and get some, I think that's what I prefer to do, like,
Yeah.
let's find a spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, there's not a ton of space, but I don't wanna have to,
Right.
Go back and reorder them again after a couple of years. Because of little pests.
Right.
Let's see, the budget, 32,700 was spent from the budget in September. 13,600 in salaries and a little over 19,000 in operations. That means that 26.6% of the budget's been spent overall. It's about a little above obviously where we should be at this point, which should be 25% after September. Salaries are a little less than 2% below where they should be at this point. The areas of biggest expenditure in September were in supplies, we spent close to 3,000 there. In books, we spent over 9,000, but 6,000 of that was our JLG annual order. It's like an upfront order for all of the books we get through JLG monthly. And then programming, we spent a little over 4,200 this past month. I'll go over the budget a little bit more when I get to the budget report. We're in pretty good shape. There's a couple of line areas where we'll want to keep watch. Programs, just some highlights. Itty bitty story time is through the roof as always. She had 5 sessions and 220 was ended in that time in September.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It really is awesome.
And what was the, I don't think she started story and craft time, that's 3 sessions and 63 is pretty good, pretty darn good too, so. Kidding around yoga had 21 in attendance, that's almost unheard of for like a yoga program for kids, that's been really good. Alphabet story time, she had 2 sessions and 78 participants. Music and movement, 2 sessions, this with Deb Hudgens and 69 participants, so things are good. Even the book clubs in that, and the German club have just started up again, so they're maybe a little bit lower attendance wise, but I have a feeling those are gonna pop back up as we turn into the fall a little further. Let's see. There's upcoming programs you can take a look at on your own, I won't go through that. Few for November, the Poop Museum will be returning. Yes. If anybody's interested. Part 2.
But do.
Yeah. Yes. In fact, I think there's something kind of funny on the side. I can't remember what it says, but it's funny. Let's see, Cheryl Fay is coming back. She actually did Queen Elizabeth last year. And she'll be doing Ruth Bader Ginsburg in November 4th. And then Ellen Henry is coming back. My guess is if that's on the schedule already, it's probably pretty much maxed out because
Yeah, she always is.
yeah, as a medium, her programs always get the maximum amount of people.
So, well,
Yes,
I should probably ask Tara this.
What's
Is that her regular, no. Is that her regular program or is that one of those, like, she was coming in for a
Okay,
couple
no.
of different classes?
Yeah, it's not a workshop. This is that regular.
Regular program. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Projects, let's see, Ashley Blanca was in yesterday because she filmed the Halloween party, which went very well. Post strangeness from earlier in the day.
Yep.
But it was very good, a lot of people, and she dropped off, or at least she emailed us the high resolution photos that she took of the library outside and inside. They look excellent.
Super.
So we'll hopefully get those on the site soon. Let's see, minutes. Yes, so minutes now for the trustees, just so everybody knows, they're not on our website anymore. There's a link that goes off-site and actually goes to the town website.
Yeah.
So the question is, I used to actually put those on the town website. My understanding in talking to Jeremy when I met with him a couple weeks ago is that trustees minutes will now go to, I think the select board secretary, who will put them up on the site. The rectory subcommittee doesn't have a home as far as minutes go, so I don't know, we'll want to talk about that, because I'm not sure
It should be.
where they should
It's,
go.
we're a subcommittee of the trustees, correct?
Yep.
So it should be somewhere related,
With, on that same page, I would think, right?
yeah, I would think.
Now the thing is, what we'll need to do is go back and hopefully get the last 4 or 5. I don't know how many, however far you want to go back.
Sure.
Dan has the archive minutes, because I used to just put, he had a whole slew of them on there. I
Yeah.
think he's got the old ones archived. But as of now, what's on that page is really just agendas, but not minutes.
Okay.
So.
So do the agendas have to go to her to get uploaded as well, or is that something that Ellen will take care of?
It must be-
Lori,
It must be,
her
yeah,
job, that Lori will take care of when we post the meetings.
I think it's one that posted and then they post them on there, because like I said, the fact that all of the agendas are up there makes me think that the, number one, the postage are meeting, but then also,
I think,
Posted
yeah,
it on
we
the
never
library
posted the
page.
agenda on the
Yeah.
library,
Yeah.
on that, we always just posted the minutes.
right,
Okay,
yeah, so on that interior page, all of the agendas seem
so
to.
sent to the board, the secretary of board,
Select board secretary,
Select board.
originally I thought it was supposed to be Dan, but I don't think so. I'll double check, I'll have to double check and reach out to.
is that
Katie.
still Katie, thank you.
Yeah,
And so I think this is driving from a different directions. It's not our
Yeah.
fault or anything like that.
yeah,
They're now using for the select board and they're start expanding out a program that keeps the notes. So like during the meeting, we were talking about it last time. And in there, it's actually designed that, so it has all the formats. It's based on the agenda. If you have any votes, everything gets pre-filled in. So then it standardizes and ensures that everything is up to open meeting law and all the requirements. So my guess, not fact, guess is they're getting things lined up so that once they're able to roll that program out to the rest of the committees, it'll all be in that process.
oh,
Because Katie and
Okay.
Jeremy are the two driving that program.
okay.
That's the name of it. We
Um,
talked about it last time. So
you did mention it last time.
But, yeah, and my interactions with Katie and that the team's been very good when it comes to the other committee I'm on, so
Okay.
they've been super helpful.
So I don't know how you want to do it, if you want me to send something into her, or if the trustees want to send something, like, you know, I don't know how you want to do that, like.
So once
It's a different process, obviously.
in the day after the meeting, I'm happy to send them to her.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Once they're approved, they can be sent to her.
All right.
So what's her last name?
Moxie,
Yes.
Moxie,
Katie.
MOXIE.
I think, yeah, it's just like.
Yes, I think so.
I think it is.
I can't spell anything, but for some reason that's stuck in my brain.
Elena, do you have something to add?
Oh, maybe she,
Moxon.
oh,
Oh, Moxie.
we can't hear. Oh,
I don't know why. We
Can't
don't,
hear you. Are
we
you
don't have
muted?
sound from you.
uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It's all right.
It's MOXAM.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Why did I think it was Moxie?
Oh, Moxon.
Moxie.
Moxon.
MOXAM,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, yeah, we got the thumbs up. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay,
Let's see, okay, so
yeah,
we can, yeah, we'll figure out that piece of it, and the rectory, obviously, rectory subcommittee. Have a process in place.
okay. Well, we're in,
Yeah, I'm looking at
Andrew,
it.
who are you?
Okay.
James
That guy.
just mentioned
Yeah.
that rectory subcommittee is not listed on it at all
Right,
anyways
you
right
know,
now,
exactly.
so it's probably not a bad idea.
It's easy to add. So like we have a drop-down section within the Taft Library Trustees in the town page for minutes and agendas, and would be very simple to add
Add.
subcommittee,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
I say that when I'm not the one pushing buttons, so.
Okay, so the trustees, Allison will forward once the trustee minutes are approved to Katie's email for Katie to post.
Okay.
And then, we'll figure out the whole rectory subcommittee on a separate note. And then what about the Friends? Does the Friends still go on? Because the Friends minutes get posted onto the.
Right, so remember that
Or at
when
least
we
they always use.
had to have a new site, that the Friends their business has to be separate of the website. So
Okay.
they will need to have, I don't know how you want to do it, or if there's like a link or something to your page that would then have your minutes, or.
So the Friends will have to,
They'll have to have their own
page
page,
completely separate from what the town has done.
right, well,
Yeah, I don't know if we're just gonna stick with the Facebook page, I don't know if. Full on webpage.
Yeah, I don't, if that's the case, I mean,
right,
if the library is still posting any of your programs.
Right.
right. Yeah, and we're allowed to do that, that's not, I mean, that promotional,
Yeah,
promotion of
yeah.
Friends programs is not an issue, it's just the business of the Friends can't be a part of the Taft thing.
So yeah, why are you gonna spend money on
Right.
potentially, I mean, I know there's free sites out there, but why are you gonna spend money on a page
Time and
that,
labor that isn't real, that's replicated, where the information is replicated elsewhere.
yeah,
Sure.
and,
It's a known entity. So.
Right.
yeah,
Stick with what you got,
yeah,
Sort
well,
of, yeah,
my opinion.
yeah, I know.
yeah, you're probably
I
right,
think we need, again, it'll probably be a discussion.
at the next meeting, yeah, okay.
Valid.
Yeah, like what you would want to do with your,
You know, we're
Yeah.
not fundraising through a webpage.
Right. you may want to discuss, like, if you are going to continue to do minutes, like, where are those, are they just a physical thing?
Right.
Right,
Sort of thing, or,
exactly.
cares.
Bless you.
Yeah.
We care.
No.
Right, you guys still can like the Google Drive, right?
Here, so.
Um,
Yeah, we still have the.
so, yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
As long as it's centrally located, in my opinion,
We
for
can have
your
this.
group.
Yeah.
And obviously Andrew's involved, because he attends your friends'
Right.
meetings, and he gets a copy of everything.
Yeah, they send it to me
Yeah.
in emails anyway.
I don't think like,
No covert arts and crafts budget, I don't think.
right, okay,
We can reevaluate, or maybe a big reason that.
So many jokes. Trying to be good. I'm refraining.
There's enough this week.
Yeah.
Don't make it more like-
okay. But yeah, it should be on your agenda for
Yeah.
October, just to at least mention it with the entire board present. Bring it up for discussion, yeah, yeah,
Pass that along.
yeah, Okay,
So
excellent.
I'll just pick up at the end of projects here. So we're actually gonna, I believe, change our self-maintenance charts. We're gonna kind of do a little more team-oriented approach, just because everybody had different sections that they were responsible for, but often if they work downstairs, but they have upstairs shelves, that just wasn't happening. So I want to try to get it so that we're streamlining things a little bit more, and the team approach just seems to work better. That's kind of what we're doing now anyway, so. Town news, so World Bank visited, and the 9 computers that were patron computers have all been moved over to Windows 11.
Nice.
Both Tara and I got new CPUs because ours, he wasn't able to just transition to Windows 11. Our situation is different, so then suddenly, and we did pay for those, by the way, through the supply. I think I mentioned the supplies budget, and
Okay.
Jeremy mentioned that if at the end of the year we're kind of short on supply money, we can arrange that, or we can work on that.
Okay.
He's aware that, we had, I think it was 2,004, 2,400 maybe, I think, for those. But the problem is when he transitioned them to Windows 11, it seems to me that a lot of the settings that we had, the setup of certain computers is now gone. That is like security, the security setup. Our computers used to go like immediately to a default page of the Taft website, but it doesn't do that anymore. I don't know why. The OPAC computers upstairs are supposed to be just OPAC, but now you can basically access anything off of them. So literally, like, it's fine to change everything over to Windows 11, but then you have to make note of what was our configuration? What was the configuration of all of our computers in the public area? Restore all of that. And I'm like,
Yeah, so
I
they
don't know
should
if they
have
don't
done a
have
backup.
notes on that. Like, why wouldn't they take notes on what the configuration is for our computers? I think there's too many, my feeling is too many hands in the mix, or too many people in the mix. Every time somebody comes over to do something,
It's somebody different.
it's somebody different. There's no consistency. And so now I have to call World Bank back and let them know these are the things we need to have on these stations. And could you write that down? So that, if you have to come in and change something for us, that you don't lose the security setting we have, or like I said, like the default page that everything's supposed to come on. Does this make sense at all?
Yes.
Okay.
It does.
Yeah, but it's just, there's no consistency. It's somebody different every time. And I don't know if they're not armed with how these are supposed to be configured, but I'll have to go through with whoever it is and say, this is what has to happen with these. This is what we need to have happen. I believe there's still security settings on the children's ones, as far as I know. But they may have to take a look at that too. So, and we had the security setup that we had on the adult computers is essentially the same setup they had on the town computer.
Sure.
And I also think we need to look at something new for people are leaving too many sort of documents on computers. And
On the
they're not
desktop?
they're not getting, well, desktop or in documents, and they're not getting like erased at the end of the night. So we need to talk about, something that scrubs all that off of each
Yeah, because you shouldn't have to
Station.
go to
at the end of the day.
it.
Did that used to happen?
It did. We used to have something at the old library too, but I know that it used to slow everything down. Like if you try to bring up the computers in the morning, it was, I can't even remember what the program was. But like I said, it just really, like when we try to bring up the computers in the morning, we were having issues. So.
Yeah, 'cause even things like that people pull up and then download.
I don't think people realize that they have to go back in and like, get rid of it themselves at this point, if we don't have that.
But you can manually shred it, but you guys, like, like right click and manually shred it,
Right,
but you guys shouldn't have to be the ones to go on each computer every night and say,
Right.
and
or get rid of the history of everything that people put through. you know,
Right.
and that should just be,
an automatic thing.
yeah. Should be able to,
I agree.
Agreed.
Yes.
My question is, do we know who owns the contract? Is that a contract across the entire town with
I
one
think
thing?
it was a.
Okay.
Town.
So, I would also recommend bringing, Dan into it from like, because when they talk facilities and contracts, he
Yeah,
may have a touch point into the larger contract. And if, because who knows if it's even written into that contract?
Mhm.
And that, they may be doing what they're told to do or what's written in the contract, which may not be the services that we need.
right,
So there's, yes, telling them, hey, come on out, here's what we need, but
right,
also linking that back to make sure the contract language says that too.
right,
Because then it will be there and it's more enforceable for us. Because we
Right.
can turn around and say, hey, you failed to meet the requirements of the contract. So now we can withhold paying you until you meet the requirements of the contract.
and not only that. When it happens again, I have to call them, I mean, essentially, we know that it needs to be taken care of. These
Correct.
guys, I don't have to keep calling them out.
Yep.
In order to do
Absolutely.
that. Okay,
And-
right, she said, you think,
Well, I mean, so I,
Facility.
at least he's a good touch point because he's the facilities
And
manager.
he knows a lot about
yeah,
technology.
all right,
Yep,
Like, what's the word?
but
Yeah.
he may know who's the owner of the contract.
okay.
I know they've been working to centralize all those
Yeah.
computer stuff, and I think they did, so I don't know who's.
I mean, I know that he knows like who the individuals are who come out who are reliable.
Sure,
And like, you
sure,
know, when the guy, I mentioned the guy who's coming up to do the Windows 11, transition to Windows 11, he said, oh, it's good, I'm glad you're getting in. So, but at the same time, it still seems like things have not, there were some issues post.
Yeah, I think James is right, definitely touch base with Dan and just be like, hey, how do you think I should handle this?
Okay. So I did hear from Principal Corin over at Misco. She reached out to see if I wanted to be part of the school advisory committee again this year, which I said I would gladly do. And then I just kind of mentioned that if it would be possible to stop over and just talk at some point about some things that we could partner on. But I have not heard back. I don't know. My guess is things are probably pretty busy for her over there. That's my guess.
Yep.
So I guess I'm just gonna have to reach back out or just stop over at some point and maybe just introduce myself if hopefully she's there. But in any event, I'm assuming that the committee is gonna meet at some point, but I haven't received the schedule or anything, so I'll just have to stop over. Regional news, state aid financial report is completed in advance of the deadline.
And you were able to connect with Lisa to
Yes,
sign those?
yes, yeah, I actually had a couple of days, a couple of
Yeah, I
days
thought you
before.
said it last time. I just couldn't-
Couple of days before the deadline, so that was good. Just a couple of things from the report. Our municipal appropriation requirement from the state for FY 26 was $326,648. And the total appropriated municipal income from the town, budget from the town for the year FY 26 is $345,900. So we were 19,000 above target on that, which is good. The 100% materials expenditure standard, if everybody knows, 19% of our budget needs to be spent on circulating materials. That also was, at least for FY 25, that was good. We spent 63,366 in FY 25. And the library's total materials expenditure, or at least, excuse me, the standard was supposed to be 63,366. We spent 71,549, so we were 8,100 above target on that. So that is good. I attended the CWMR's Users Council meeting end of last month. There's a new version of Evergreen that went live this week. We've had some issues just because the interface, the things look different. Everything seems to be there, but they look different, especially with cataloging. So we're navigating those things. We loved it the way it was. But, you know, that's how it goes. They also talked about assessments for this next year. Through CWMRs, our preliminary assessment is 7686, which is a little less than 200 more than we had paid for FY26. So basically, last year we paid, or excuse me, for this year we paid 74 or something like that. Whatever it was, it's less than 200 more from one year to the next. So pretty consistent, not too bad. Does anybody have any questions about that? I do have a couple of things I wanted to add in. Tara had a question for me, I'll ask him in a second. I did want to mention that when I met with Jeremy a couple of weeks ago, we talked contracts for staff. There is Jennifer O'Neill, who's in Human Resources, sent me a contract for the conservation agent and said, and Jeremy reiterated that they'll probably use that as their template for the children's librarian position.
Okay.
Okay.
I can send that in advance of the next meeting.
Okay.
I didn't this time because I'm getting a number of things going. So
Sure.
it's there's some language that will need to be changed, but you know, by and large, it seems to me pretty suitable for purposes of children's librarian contract. Jen O'Neill also put together a library assistant contract. Jeremy took a look at it and there's some things he wanted to revise. I haven't seen a revision yet. He said he'd send it to me. Once I have that, I will also send that to everyone. He said that the contracts you want to have in place, obviously before the end of the fiscal year. So there's a lot of time.
Sure.
But I want to send those out so that you have them and start to talk about them.
Thank you. Do
Yeah.
those contracts still lie within the purview of the trustees?
So I asked him that, and the language would be the same.
Okay.
And I trying to remember what the language was of operating by and through the library board of trustees. And both of those contracts would say that enters into this contract with the town of Mendon, operating by and through the library board of trustees.
It makes life easier because then you don't have to sit in front of the select board, you know, to be appointed and whatnot or hired. So it allows us the ability to do that.
Yeah, same language as.
That's awesome. That's great. That's super.
And so that's that. The budget report, just a couple of things to point out on that. So as I said, salaries were at 23.2% spent for the year. So far, we should be at 25, but that's not unusual. That's pretty decent at this point, but we'll keep an eye on that. Couple of areas that are a little higher, building maintenance. We spent about 44% in building maintenance to this point. Programming is up there, but programming is usually up there in the summer. That's at around 44%. Supplies, we've actually ordered more this year so far than I had anticipated. We're at about 29%, but that's not too bad. I guess I'm more concerned about building maintenance. Yes.
The supplies include
That
the
includes
computers.
the two computers, so that's part of the reason.
Yep.
I'm gonna keep an eye on building maintenance though. There were some things, we had the carpet cleaned again early this year, not that that was the only thing, but there were some other areas that have been addressed that I've mentioned in previous reports. But I'm gonna keep an eye on that because there's about 13,000, almost 14,000 remaining. I think it's gonna be too bad. Anybody have any questions about the budget report or director's report?
You mentioned that Tara had a.
Oh, sorry. So one of the issues we've seen is that, there's plenty of people who sign up for. The problem is there's not plenty of people who come to the programs after they signed up for the programs. And so the problem is if you sign up for a program and you're on the list, unless you get back in touch with us that you're not gonna make it, we've reserved that spot for you.
Sure.
And anybody who's on the wait list has no ability to come in. Now, sometimes somebody comes from the wait list and she just allows them into the program if it's reasonable.
Right.
But what's happening is that if people, and there are some people who are chronic about this, who put their names down for these things, and then they don't show up, and then there's not really the ability to take people off the wait list. And it's not fair to the people who are on the wait list.
Right.
Sure.
So we're trying to navigate or figure out like, what is it that we can do at this point to address no-shows? And I don't know if it's, her question was, well, can we send emails to no-shows to say, you know, like, can we put some policy in place for no-shows? Maybe it's, if you don't show up at 2 or 3 consecutive things or whatever, then
3 strikes.
yeah, or, you know, I don't know if we need, you know, do that, or if it's a matter of we email individuals to say, you do realize that because you didn't show up, there are individuals who are on the wait list who were not. You know, so I think you just want feedback
Yeah,
on that and what to do, because I agree with you, like, and especially if we spend, I don't know, some performers are like $500. And you get 30 signups plus wait list, and you wind up having 22 people. Well, it's $500 for 22 people as opposed to 500 for 30.
right.
So like, you know, we're losing out on that. So the question is like, what is the best way to do this without sort of, we like, what's the best way to do this without really sort of disrupting things or, you know,
Or getting
people up in arms?
Sure.
Getting in line.
And that's the balance of we're a public
Right.
library.
Yes.
Our doors are open for all.
Right.
Even the challenging ones, and we have to, you know, navigate those safely.
Right. When we advertise a program as limited spots available or
Mhm.
whatever. You're right, there has to be some sort of ramifications. Now, your staff, I'm assuming still. So I don't know if they actually call people, but I know when I've signed up for events,
Yeah.
at least that we get an email reminder that you're signed up for this event.
Right.
So people are getting
They
these
should be,
email reminders.
Yeah.
I don't recall specifically, I know it's a generic email. Like, is it something that we can change that email reminder to say it, or maybe it already does?
Yeah,
If for any reason you're not able to attend this event, you know, like in bold letters,
sure.
please contact us at, and whether it's the phone number or a separate email. So that we can give your spot to someone else.
Sure.
Now, we understand that last minute things come up, some people, things happen.
Right.
But, so that's one step. If it doesn't, it might
It's
already,
the language in the reminder.
it may already even say that. It's been a long time since
Can I
I,
tell you what Ashlyn does?
okay.
Please.
Because I liaise
Mhm.
online programs and stuff. So they have a no-show policy for events with limited space. So if you don't cancel your reservation, you have a 3-month ban on registering online for programs.
One and done, that just with your first offense.
I
Hmm.
I think so.
Interesting.
Even to the, like, if you register but don't attend or cancel at least 48 hours in advance. Registrants arriving more than 5 minutes after the program starts will also forfeit their spot and may be subject to the no-show penalty. The policy was implemented due to the high cost of programs and a high number of people failing to attend after reserved spots.
So now you have precedence.
Right.
And that's on the Ashland page?
I believe so, yeah.
And I don't know that the first shot
That's
and fired is the best way. Maybe we give, maybe 2. you know, if 3 is generous, maybe 2, and we say, you know,
After
here's your
the
warning.
first one,
Here's your warning.
no, but you did not show for the puppet show. You have one more opportunity. If you missed another one without letting us know, you will not be able to sign up for programs for the next 3 months.
But we will have to review or execute review and approve of that policy,
Right.
you know, as a board, before we can really kick it off.
Correct.
We can start the warnings now.
Right.
We can start being like, hey, be courteous to your neighbor.
Yeah.
Don't be,
Well, I guess that's the third question.
Sorry.
Can we send an email out, a blanket email out to individuals to say, you know, these need to be attended if you have signed up? Is there a problem with doing that as long as it's nice?
no reason you can't, no reason you can't,
The
because it's,
confirmation email.
Yeah.
sure.
If you register, when you get back, is to be aware that,
And as a taxpayer,
yourself.
we want our money to be used in a smart way.
Yes.
So like, we're here for that purpose as well.
Correct.
So yeah, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, we provide these, but these things cost. And we want as many people to have that opportunity as they can.
Absolutely.
So let's be respectful.
Yeah.
And then stand by for the no-show policy.
Now, I'll ask you what, so basically we're talking about the reminder email, sort of phrasing that or wording that in a way to say, please understand that, you
Right,
know.
but even like Lee said, it should also be in the confirmation email.
Yep.
Like,
Right.
thank you, you have just signed up, we just, you know, you've just signed up for the
Yes,
puppet show. Please keep in mind that if for any reason you cannot attend this event, we would appreciate
Yeah.
48 hours notice.
right,
So that we have time to give, you know, maybe you say that, like 48, we would appreciate 48 hours notice. You know, so that we can
Yeah.
give your spot to someone else that is on we often have a large wait list for many of our programs.
Yeah.
And I
Something like
think
that.
every programming email that goes out should have some consistent wording
Yes.
about this, whether
Right.
Yeah.
you signed
Yeah.
up, here's our policy.
Right.
A reminder that you've signed up for this, here's the policy.
Yeah, the policy should be, once
Yes.
we approve an actual policy,
Got it.
you're doing it
Yep,
right.
I got it. I'll forward it to you right now. Yeah, I found it from Ashland. So-
Once we approve the actual policy as a committee,
sure,
then we can, like you said, that policy should automatically be at the end of every
Program.
email correspondence. Program email correspondence,
Calendar is.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
multiple, same message, multiple mediums.
yeah,
I mean, you can't blow up your doctor without
Yeah.
incurring a fee, you
Yeah.
can't, I mean. we
Be a
have to
good
be-
neighbor.
Yeah, we've got to be careful stewards of the money we're expending, and
Yeah.
we do want it accessible to everybody.
Right.
And,
and we understand there's exceptions to every rule, and people get sick at the last minute, or
Sure.
their kid gets sick,
Oh, yeah.
or
They have to leave town
They-
for a
right.
family emergency.
whatever. It's gonna happen, but it will allow people it will force people, I should say, to kind of force their hand to be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I gotta let somebody know I'm supposed to go to that event. And
Right.
sometimes people just
Done.
forget.
Well, I think part of it, is
You
the
know?
library is an entity, it's not a person, so if they knew, Andrew was the guy, oh, I have to email Andrew and register, then Andrew's name is attached to it, and I wouldn't want to disappoint Andrew. When it's just the big blob of the line,
No, you're right.
people don't feel as well.
Andrew's email.
Yeah, they want numbers, and who's comment, but at the same time, who notices that they're not really sure.
Yeah, right,
yeah,
That is my feeling.
yeah, we know this,
Exactly.
yeah.
Librarians.
yeah.
Yeah.
So do you wanna, we wanna just, you look at the Ashland one this next time, do you think, or?
Sure, you have it in your email. You and Tara have it in your email box already. So
I wouldn't even mind looking around at other,
Let's see if other
Flyers.
libraries can have it as well.
I'll do a search on public.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that was just one.
And we could definitely have it as a discussion for the next,
Yeah, and they have it as part of their programming policy, so it's not even a separate like notion, it's just part of their programming,
Yeah,
which makes it.
and we have the
easier.
policy, it's just
We can just
basically,
add that.
add it to the existing
Yeah.
program policy.
Super. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, we've gotten to that stage where the programming is quite successful. But we want to reach people that we're not reaching.
Yep.
Because of the situation of individuals not showing, so, there you go.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, okay, so the next one is policy update, which, that's part of that, but I don't think there were any other,
The safety
oh,
one.
the safety one, yeah.
So I did send that out last month prior to that meeting. I did not bring hard copies. I probably should have. My apologies. That one's ready to go. So whenever, if we want to have folks do one more review on it, totally expect that.
Last month was a little nutty for me, but
That's
I have time now, I can definitely do that.
The nice part about that is that will give you the legs for circumstances that you had to deal with. Kind of give you a quick response, or the reference to work from once we get there. So
I did mention too, by the way, the individual that, we had a patron, because we had a patron. But she wasn't having, any.
Gotcha.
She was like, no, I'm not. It was individuals belligerent, so,
Yeah,
gotcha.
but agreed.
Yep.
That it's important to have.
So what I will do then is I'll send that back out to everyone electronically. I would ask everyone to take a read on it. And then at the next meeting, we can vote in or present any changes too. So over the next month, if you have any recommendations or changes, please voice them now. But it is always a living document. It can be changed and adapted as we need.
yeah, I'll definitely take a look at that and send you any
Oh,
notes.
The safety plan.
Safety plan, thank you.
Oh, sorry, I thought you wanted.
I was just- I can go get my cardboard boat reads.
Okay, so that brings us to strategic plan goals.
Okay, sorry.
Strategic plan goals.
Oh, actually, I was going to mention that I just was looking through it again the other day, actually today. We recently addressed two of our goals, increase hours open beyond 30 a week.
Yeah.
So that was good. We could put that on as, check that one off, even though I still would like to be beyond 30 hours, 35 hours a week. And evaluate and redesign website was also part of the strategic plan goal, so that is. Strategic plan related goals that we're currently working on. Alana Bodio did reach out to me the other day, to ask about the homebound, services.
Okay.
And, I'm not gonna say I've hit a brick wall there, but, it hasn't been easy sledding. So Alana was actually stopping over because she works the senior center's food program, food assistance program. And she was gonna talk to Amy at the senior center. And just say that she and I had talked, because we did talk for a little while about what we'd like to do. I mean, neither of us even know at this point, like, how many homebound are there in Mendon?
Sure.
Who would we be addressing? So it's just even basic things we'd like to have the answer to, and just have not been able to enact in the way we'd like. So she was going to be over there anyway, and so she was gonna start a conversation with Amy to talk about specifically. That we said we would like to do this program. How can we facilitate it? There was supposed to be a meeting of volunteers, I guess, in the senior center, but there was never any sort of. After that meeting, there wasn't. She didn't reach back. There was no follow-up.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't contact, and I did reach out another time to ask about this, but anyway, we'll see where we can go with this. Bus stop, we already talked about that a little bit. We'll stop over at Misco. Two other things that were on the strategic plan are creating a survey for programs, just to find out how people find out about them. So I do want to do that this year. I also would like to put together, as long as you've been looking at computers and setup and so forth, put together a hardware inventory, what we currently have. Also because I believe, I don't know what year, and you might know this because of capital planning, that they were talking about doing or addressing computer hardware around town. I don't know if you.
Yeah, so there's, I believe there's another whole working group that's going specifically. They're already talking about it. I don't know where they are in that process. Though.
I know that he said it wasn't for FY 26. I don't know
No,
if it may be FY 27.
I think 27 is when the goals to kick it off.
So I thought it'd be nice to have that in place, the inventory in place. As we near that. That's about what I have at the moment for just strategic plan goals, unless anybody has. Some thoughts on that?
All right, so then that brings us to the rectory subcommittee update. So, right before the meeting, I sent everyone a copy of the actual feasibility study.
Are we looking
at the
rectory meeting?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
But you can listen in.
5 more minutes.
I was waiting for the bell.
So I was originally planning on reviewing this tonight to some degree, but I think what I'll do is, since I sent it out so late, why don't we take this time that you guys can review it a little bit on your own, and then we can table it for our next meeting discussion. And then we can maybe discuss it in a little bit more detail. But overall, we were very pleased with all of it. We were happy at where the numbers came in. We were surprised, to be honest. They came in as low as they did for what we were wanting. So overall, our initial reaction was we were all very pleased with it. So if you guys want to take a look at it, and we'll discuss it at the next meeting, and then we can talk about kind of our next steps after, once we approve it as a board of trustees as the final feasibility study, then we can go ahead and present it to the capital planning committee, and then kind of just get it on some other people in town thinking about it. We don't quite know where it's going, where the town kind of did their own little feasibility study of different of uses of different buildings that are not currently being used, and how they were gonna implement them. So the town has their own ideas, which Jeremy brought to our attention last month, but at least this is out here. We have to kind of wait to see how those things shake out, but at least we're kind of being thought about and,
Putting it on the radar.
putting it on the radar, exactly.
And frankly, we're coming in with a solid plan. And always remember in feasibility studies, it's kind of look at it like a first draft. As it's designed to give you what's your possibility, what could you do with it? So it may not look perfect, like you may be like, well, this room should be this or this room should be that. That's great, because that's the type of feedback, especially from the public, we're gonna want to energize before we try to make that big dive into if we can really make this project happen.
Right.
Yeah, we were really surprised when GLRA did a great job. They held to their word and really made it happen, so.
Yeah.
In a challenging time.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, a
Yeah.
very compressed timeline.
Yeah.
So.
Well done.
Thank you.
Small steps, small steps.
Any topics not anticipated within 48 hours?
None here.
No, all right. So shall we set our next meeting then? Thinking we're looking at, we usually do the second week, is that correct?
Yes.
So we're looking at November 13th.
And the only thing I'll mention on there is that the awards book club meets at 7 that night. Typically, they've met upstairs, so it's probably not an issue.
Okay, you're not involved in that?
Well, I usually go to it.
Oh, wait, okay,
But I don't run it.
okay,
James, one of our staff, runs that, so.
okay.
And we'll also see, we may not have anything material for the subcommittee to do next month.
Yeah, but we're talking about the trustee meeting.
I know, but
Anyways.
this one's at 6.
Oh, this was at 6, the 7th.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's.
Right,
Yeah.
right, okay, I see what you're saying, yep. Okay, so November 13th at 6 p.m. for the trustees.
It's the day after town meeting.
Oh,
It doesn't conflict with anything, I'm just putting it on people's agendas, whatever.
Thank you.
Times town meetings.
Sounds
Town meeting's on a Wednesday?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, 12, okay. It's gonna be a fun one.
Sorry.
36 articles.
Yeah, and they were really trying to get as many in a combined article as possible. Yeah,
Okay.
You don't have anything specifically.
we do not.
I haven't, I need to. Closer.
Well, yeah,
Wow.
that's okay. I'll leave. Anything else?
No, that's it.
I look forward to motion to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:07.
Stop recording.
6:06 to 7:07, not bad. Not bad.
And we stop.